What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I'll try to keep this brief as I think we've all experienced our maximum intake of Captain Marvel heinousness. I promise that tomorrow I've got at least 2 video game focused videos and probably nothing at all to say about Captain Marvel. And next week we'll obviously move into greener pastures, including EA, virtue signaling and calling gamers toxic as usual and things like that. But I've got a little something to expose here, something that was noticed late last night. People started sending me screenshots, and the folks over at Reddit had discovered that there is a interesting review, positive, fake review copy pasta going on out there. In fact, there are several different copy pastas that were sent to me, but we're going to just look at one because it obviously proves the point. Now, I've said from the start that, of course, Captain Marvel will probably make money. It will probably be, forgettable. And that's looks like exactly what we're seeing here. We see when we look at Box Office Mojo, Captain Marvel doing very well in the foreign market and through Friday having 60 million. So the weekend numbers will probably be close to, I'm guessing, 140 to 160 million. Nothing to write home about because as one follower pointed out on Twitter, if you remember, Tron was deemed a flop and that generated $400 million. You're talking about gigantic budgets for these films, hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising. So it's interesting to see where this actually will end up and when the production budget actually drops. And I bet you it's higher than most people think. But the common narrative among all these articles are that, quote, trolls are tanking review scores. You can see Fortune magazine leading with, trolls are tanking Captain Marvel's Rotten Tomatoes reviews, but they can't stop the box office haul. And I would argue that 52%, as I said all along and many times, the movie's probably a 60%, and it's leveling out here at 52%. We know for a fact that Rotten Tomatoes engineered this. They, in fact, literally came out and lied, saying that it was a, quote, glitch that deleted 40,000 votes. Yes, more people are voting on it, but you never know. I mean, hey, a lot of people are going to the theater. You can see this flood of overwhelmingly negative scores is likely the result of sometimes called vote brigading, a deliberate web-wide attempt to lower, or in some case raise, a film's rating. It's no surprise that, quote, trolls have seized upon Captain Marvel in certain corners of the internet. Yes, the dark, scary ones. The movie has been a point of contention for weeks. In February, Larson noted to Marie Claire that writers and critics covering her films are white males. This is actually a reasonable article coming out of Fortune, it would seem. Friday morning, though, more than 50,000 user reviews for Captain Marvel flooded the site, an impossible figure for a film just released. That's not true. Rotten Tomatoes blamed a glitch, and the number of reviews decreased. No, well, they deleted 50,000 reviews. Though the film's low user score remained mostly unchanged. Similar effects have been directed at such films as Star Wars The Last Jedi and last year's Black Panther. What? Black Panther? That's the highest rated movie in Marvel history. What are you talking about? Again, though, opening weekend is now flying toward an opening weekend of $150 million. Now, that's middle of the road. Nothing record-setting. Nothing to sneeze at either, but, of course, given the giant budgets. So, of course, the narrative is this movie is better than you think. And, again, I would say, a 60 is probably reasonable. I mean, critics themselves, right? People who are paid only gave it a 79. And even when you have critics openly admitting that they gave Captain Marvel and other movies positive reviews to maintain their access. This is a huge, huge problem. This has been a problem that has plagued the video game industry for years. Movies, it's access journalism, meaning your job depends on you rubbing shoulders with people that have a conflicting agenda, meaning you're there essentially as a marketing arm. That's the only reason you're given early access. So they know that critics know that if they're overwhelmingly negative about a film or honest about a film, I will say, that they will lose their access. Sci-Fi Wire's Danny Roth admitted that Access Media, quote, plays softball in order to maintain access with Hollywood celebrities and studios while discussing the recent Captain Marvel Rotten Tomatoes controversy. On Sci-Fi's podcast, Who Won This Week, Roth and his co-host, Sci-Fi's contributing editor, Karma Horne, and Sci-Fi's editor-in-chief were discussing recent changes to Rotten Tomato following fans indicating they were not interested in seeing. Roth admits that's how Access Media works. We all know this, but it's interesting to hear somebody from the inside actually say this out loud. Assume he's blacklisted now. Here's the actual reality, he says. Here we are in the industry. If you want to talk about, quote, Access Media, every single person that wants to have access to things early, that wants to get access to things so traffic is drawn to their site, will on occasion. Everybody at this podcast, everybody in our industry occasionally plays softball, occasionally has to look the other way a little bit. Everybody has to do it. In the sense that I hated a movie, but I won't say that I hated a movie, or an actor behaved a sort of way, and you don't want to put that out there that it happened. Horn chimes in, right, because you might not get the next review. Roth continues, to some degree, everybody in our industry is part of this quote-unquote Access Media and has to decide which battles they want to pick, which ones where my voice is the one that, which of the ones where my voice is the one that has to get said. Of course. Of course. Roth's statement about Access Media in response to Swiderski's idea that Rotten Tomato remove audience scores. They state, I think they should get rid of fan review entirely. When asked to elaborate, he did. It's not a right they run a website. They run a business. Critic reviews are critic reviews, and that's fine. And listen, this isn't me saying fans can't have an opinion, but it's a tool. It's obviously being abused more than it's being used constructively, especially around particular films that politically rub some people the wrong way for certain reasons. It's why we can't have a nice thing. If nice people use it the way it was supposed to be used, but no one is. So screw it, goodbye. The mere fact that you give a voice or a platform to people who normally don't have a platform is part of the problem. You have an opinion that you don't really get to be responsible for because nobody's going to see you. Nobody's going to challenge you on it. If you want to bring someone down or just ruin someone's day, you can say anything. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised to see Rotten Tomatoes essentially remove user reviews. But think about all the traffic and ad revenue Rotten Tomatoes has had in the past week of people rapidly refreshing their website, of tens of hundreds of thousands of people going there to leave reviews. Remember that they get ad revenue. Okay, Rotten Tomatoes needs the website traffic. If you remove user reviews, nobody really gives, nobody cares what critics really think because we know they're bought and paid for. And here this guy admits it. The only people's reviews that I care about are the users. And I can tell the difference between a review brigade and honest reviews. I'm not an idiot. Most people aren't. But this is exactly what they want to censor people. And you know, the narrative, again, has been that only negative reviews get brigaded. Well, how about this? There are literally hundreds of these. Different users all upvoting each other using the exact same copy pasta. I'll make it very simple and clear. Captain Marvel is really worth a watch, and it's entertaining and visually impressive. Exactly what it was meant to be. Just keep this in mind. And, you know, it's the exact same review done by hundreds of different users. Even when I go to when I Google Captain Marvel reviews, Look at what I see. I'll make it simple and clear. I'll make it simple and clear. And just in case you've never heard of the blatant copy pasta, I'll make it simple and clear. I mean, look at them all. And these are all positive. You know what I mean? Obviously, people are not saying, and then you have 110 people saying it's helpful. There's obviously something going on here. Now, that isn't to diminish people. That isn't to say that people aren't leaving negative reviews who haven't seen the movie. Of course. But that always happens. And you know what? There's also tons of people leaving 10s who never saw the movie. When we saw IMDb, yeah, most scores are either 10 or 1. A normal, intelligent person would see that and say, okay, well, those are probably either fanboys or haters. And that puts it right here in the 50 to 60 range. That's where this film is. I think a 60% is probably where the audience score will end up. I don't know if that actually makes it red or not. The critics, 79. It's not going to move much from here. There's 330 reviews in. 1 or 2 coming in now isn't going to move it. So it might finish at 80%. Might drop to 78. But this is it. This is where it's going to end. It's going to be a middle of the road Marvel film. But I just want people to know that, you know, this quote review brigading, it goes both ways. Now, did Disney hire these people? I don't know. Is some sort of op? Reverse trolling? I don't know. But, you know, is it to counter the narrative that there are negative review brigades? But I haven't seen this level of negative where it's so easily determined that they're literally just copy pasting the same thing with different users. Okay, so love it or hate the movie. Hopefully we're done talking about it for a very long time. I've got a lot of video game related things to talk about in the next few days. I hope you enjoyed this video though, and we'll talk to you again real soon.